Well, never made sense till now. Welcome everyone to Crusaders 2127 and 2127news.net. I'm going to attempt to pin the tail on the donkey here. And what I mean by that is I'm going to do this as calmly as possible. As you can tell, I'm pretty calm right now. But as I begin to read this, you'll see why I'm going to get frustrated. I'm just going to let you know I'm going to get really frustrated over this. This is absolutely crap, man. Are you ready for literal zombies? Because it didn't make sense till now. This is a draft of a post that I have yet to release because I'm still working on it. Yes, I'm putting the video out first because I need to make sure everything's completely backed up on this before I release it. Classified bill. HR 8791 unclassified. I received this last year and I printed it off and I saved it. This is a transcript that I wrote down off of a YouTube video from C-SPAN about Congress reading this bill. And when I first heard it, I was downright worried. Now it begins to make sense, and I'm even more worried than I could begin to describe to you. Okay, before I read this, let's start off with this real quick. I'm going to be really mumbo-jumbo with this, and I'm going to do my best to get it as clear as possible, because I can sit here and say it, but I need to back it up as much as possible. First thing, zombie apocalypse. Ebola patients reportedly rise from the dead. Article number 1. Article number 2. Why is Kansas preparing for the zombie apocalypse? Back to this article. Why are U.S. soldiers training to shoot zombies? This is Iraq, sorry, wrong one. Con-op. 8888. Pentagon secret counter-zombie apocalypse document reveal. FEMA readiness. FEMA readies Ebola training for 500 doctors and nurses. Okay. Why is Obama sending 3,000 U.S. soldiers? And the literal words weren't to help contain Ebola. It was to fight Ebola. To combat Ebola. It's a virus, supposedly. Just a virus. They can't fight that. It's not, you can't shoot it. Or can you? You can shoot the living dead, though. What's really going on in Africa is what I want to know. What is really going on in Africa? Let me read you this. Congress shall now vote for approval of H.R. 8791, the Homeland Terrorism Preparedness Bill. Said bill requests emergency response funding up to and including $1 trillion to prepare for national-level terrorist attack and or attack from unidentified beings. Funding for first responder personnel and vehicles will be doubled if said attack leads to more than 80% of national population being affected by unidentified beings. This funding shall commence in conjunction to the first attack on the United States, or the first large-scale outbreak of Virus X. Let me stop there. You remember algebra, where you take the value of X and substitute it for whatever? To this day, I have yet to use algebra. Well, actually, to this very day, because I think I just found the value of X. Ebola. Let's go back to this. Depending on or upon which comes first, civilian and military units shall be trained in containment and combat of unidentified beings, including irradiated mutants. Huh. See, when I first heard this, I was actually really thinking that this had to do with the gates of hell and them opening, which is why I've got that also in this article. because, well, you have no idea what's coming through pretty shortly here down the pike when they really open the gates of Hades. Fallen angels, demons, the physical beings actually living on this earth. We've seen some of the creatures that have actually, the occurrences of them have actually increased a lot lately. Possessions are up, omens are up, everything's up. It's just nonsense, because these are end times. Mutes with the possibility of virus X being airborne. What did we discover, according to our research with 2127news.net? We discovered that in winter, Ebola will be airborne through coughing and sneezing. Depending upon which comes first, the possibility, hang on, sorry, I just lost my place. The scale of outbreak virus X, depending upon which comes first, civilian and military units shall be trained in containment and combat of unidentified beings. This word made a lot of sense right as I read this. Including irradiated mutants with possibility of virus X being airborne, or the possibility of flesh-eating hosts. Keep that word there. And or all the above in such event as a domestic revolt on U.S. soil, or spewing unidentified beings escape or released, or otherwise become uncontrollable. Air Force units may also be directed to combat said beings due to their enormous size and other worldly strengths. Should an event occur in urban areas, Jesus, that's, as I said, this is a transcript, that's dangerous, far surpassing our darkest nightmares. Should casualties exceed 100 million people? Well, by January, we're talking about 1.4 million cases of Ebola. Body disposal actions should be halted and associated resources shall be reallocated through sewage systems. Did you know that with the doctors they brought back here, the cured, quote-unquote cured doctors that they brought back here, their bodily waste was disposed of through sewage systems, actually public sewage systems? What I look for when I look at this stuff now is I look for keywords. Let me give you an example. Combat. Mainstream media push that the military is going to combat Ebola. Sewage systems. That stuck out to me like crazy. FEMA. They're preparing right now. FEMA's been preparing for a long time. Underground FEMA-based protective birthing centers. A new Bill of Rights shall be drafted and approved by the elite of 10. Having now reviewed the bill, I ask you to please cast your votes. The above bill sounds exactly like Ebola being released, except with a twist, that the victims didn't stay dead when they were first struck with Ebola. Now you tell me, why the hell is the military Congress in Kansas all preparing for such an event? Also, if the dead did rise, that's the wrong county. Let me correct it. Nimby County. Then guess what? Expect more. A lot more to rise. What I actually didn't realize is they were putting this stuff all in our face the whole time, and I had no idea. I feel really dumb. Because the first article that I read about this, I did a whole bunch of research on. I posted it to 2127news.net. Me and a buddy worked on this for a long time. There are reports from some doctors that have been there that are saying entire villages are completely wiped out. There are bodies lying on the street. There are just dead bodies sitting in homes. Now, what didn't make sense to me at the time was that sounds exactly like a zombie apocalypse. Think about well, they don't exactly stay dead in the movies and things. And this is how crazy it sounds. You can't make this stuff up. However, why do the Ebola victims continually leave the medical centers every single time in Africa? This is why they went down to martial law over there in Sierra Leone. Remember? It's just happened and they're going into permanent martial law. What the victims were doing after they were struck with Ebola was running into town and looking for food. Didn't make sense to me until that moment. Also, what didn't make sense to me is how are they going to spread this virus throughout many different cities and towns? Because it's not like your normal Ebola outbreak every once in a while where it just pops up everywhere or pops up in one general area and it's very easy to contain, except this is popping up all over the place. How is it spreading like that? And our first initial thoughts were that it was just it was an attack. People were dropping the virus in certain places. And, okay, so there's that right there. But I didn't put this together either. Animals. They can transfer Ebola to humans, and it's well known, apparently. You can look all this stuff up. Well, what's going on is the dogs are eating the dead Ebola victims, which are lying on the roads. Sound like zombies yet? You just can't make it up, man. I'm serious. Now let me go back to the beginning of this article. And Kansas is getting prepared for October, zombies. It is almost October, and for Kansas, it is Zombie Preparedness Month. However, are the dead really going to rise? Just recently in Africa, allegedly the dead did rise. The 2 instances of the dead rising is something we all should be on alert for. Before I write an article, typically I pray, and I was asking God for guidance on what to write about this. And the results that I came about is what you're hearing right now, and I'm very alarmed. Simply because the U.S. government is preparing for a zombie apocalypse. The Pentagon, CONOP 8888. HR 89, whatever it is, 97, I think? I can't remember the exact number. 8791. Now Kansas is getting ready for a zombie apocalypse. Great. The 2 dead that did rise had been struck with Ebola. As I said, keywords. I don't typically, when I say they didn't catch Ebola, I don't know why I put struck there, but I put it twice, which means that something just stuck out. It stuck out to me. How are they struck with Ebola? This is adding up well. The question is, can Ebola mutate to where the dead can rise? This is my opinion. The only way the dead can really rise is if there is another force taking over the corpse, basically possession, and the body would then be used as a vessel, basically. Saying a dead host, hold on to that word, I told you to. I hadn't seen this. I had forgotten about this, and right as I got to here, again, skepticism. Right, as I said, this is just a rough draft. Excuse the bad spelling. As I got to here, I remembered this bill. I don't even know what brought it up. Anyways, where's that host word gone? Basically, possession in the body will be used as a vessel, basically saying a dead host can hold another life force is downright unnatural. However, it is possible. Just recently, a Russian scientist photographed the soul leaving the body. I believe they were all working to try and install another being into it without the God-given soul. Doesn't that sound like what I just read to you earlier? There's a lot of controversy over these 2 photographs. Are they real or they're Photoshop? What we all need to understand is this, that if these are fake photos, we have not seen the real ones, nor will we. This sort of science is a small part of what Hitler and the Nazis were supposedly working on as well. This is considered demonic practice, rituals, trying to stuff an unnatural being into a dead person. Ebola, the most deadly outbreak in our history, is upon us. Obviously, this is not like any other, and they keep saying that it's not like any other Ebola outbreak we've ever seen. This course that FEMA is running is proof enough that Ebola is worrying some very influential people. The worst part is that the public barely knows about what Ebola actually is. I didn't really know. Ebola is a virus that is patented by the U.S. government in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's considered a bioweapon. Now I understand what they mean by an attack, according to the below bill. Now, given that information, does Ebola really pose a threat to the United States? Also, another key point not mentioned, when I say U.S., I do mean the world as well. Another key point not mentioned, Ebola has mutated thousands of times since its original sick individual. That's not talked about either. Mutated. That again poses the question, can Ebola, a serpent-looking, snake-looking virus, really make the dead rise? Kansas seems to think that something can make the dead rise. Kansas is a very significant place, yet little to none discuss the events that have taken place through recent history. I love researching this stuff. I love figuring it out because I like to fight it. Did you know that Kansas holds a gate to hell? Stoll Cemetery. One of the craziest places to live on earth. It is dark, eerie, and filled with unclean spirits / demons. It's not crazy, as in people are partying and people are bouncing around everywhere with just, it's not that. Crazy as in unnatural activity, supernatural activity. Kansas is considered the heart of America and holds a gate to hell. Stoll Cemetery itself actually holds steps to a gate to hell. The basic premise of the legends regarding Stoll go like this. This is just a basic website. Somewhere within the tiny rundown Stoll Cemetery is a set of hidden steps which descend directly into the netherworld itself, Hades or hell. The steps are nearly impossible to find and are covered by a hidden seal, which only opens on Halloween and the spring equinox. If one does manage to find these steps, they should never venture down them, for it is impossible to ever return. The question still remains, why is Kansas preparing for a zombie apocalypse? According to the lore, the gates open on October 31st each year, the day of Halloween, which has been construed into a kid's night, when really all throughout history it has been the day that the dead rise. Well, there is an odd occurrence on October 25th, 2014. The governor announced that that day will be Zombie Preparedness Day. One can only wonder, what are they really preparing for? Stoll Cemetery to open or the gates of hell? Alright, so that's about all I'm going to read all this stuff. I'm going to try and put it together in as best as I can. We are sending 3,000 military personnel to combat Ebola. Doctors and scientists have warned, why are we sending troops? Why? It doesn't make sense unless you look at it as they're actually combating and shooting. Why is the U.S. military here training to shoot zombies? Why does the Pentagon, Congress, have a bill for unidentified beings, such as zombies, and then say it's nonsense? They're shoving it in our faces continually. I never in my life thought I would ever say anything this crazy. However, it's not crazy anymore. You can expect this article to be released sometime tomorrow. I'm going to put some more information into it, and hopefully, so people understand what's really going on. That whatever is truthfully going on in Africa is not what we are being told at all. And this is downright scary. With that, that's all the news I've got for right now. God bless, be safe. Please check out the website 2127news.net. Please subscribe to the website 2127news.net, where you can find out that we're about to have one hell of a winter, and many other articles, as well as Sandy Hook's is a complete hoax, says the FBI. God bless. Take it easy.